Some context. I'm a 19-year-old college student, and earlier this year, I decided to create a Grindr profile because why the hell not? I'm single, and I may as well be a dumb college student while I'm a dumb college student. My friends and I were studying late one night in their dorm room, like always. All of my close friends lived together in the dorms, so their lounge was the primary hangout spot. It was a little after midnight, and I went on Grindr. At this point, I had been on the app for 2 months and had gone on a fair amount of dates. When I opened the app, I had received a message from a guy. I don't remember his name, so I'll just continue to refer to him as the guy. I clicked on his profile, and he was a pretty cute guy. He had a shirtless picture, which was common, and he was attractive enough for me to get more information on him. His caption read, "In town for work." I read his bio, and he explained that he was in town for work, that he was staying at a nearby hotel, and was able to host visitors there. I replied to his message and began the typical Grindr talk. How are you? What are you into? Can you host? Etc. After talking for about a half hour or so and exchanging pictures, we agreed to meet. I must say that I did not get any indication that this guy was a catfish or that I was talking to someone who wasn't who they said they were. It's usually pretty obvious when someone isn't who they say they are. That's what I told myself at least. Whenever I decide to meet up with a guy, I always tell one of my friends and then share my location with them. I do this and then I head out. The hotel was about 10 minutes away from my university. As I was driving there, the guy messaged me and asked,
"Hey, so my business partner might come back soon. Would it be cool if we did stuff in your car?"
It's not an unusual request to engage in carplay, but I did start to be a bit suspicious. Why would his business partner be out this late? Yet again, here I was out this late, so I brushed it off and continued making my way to the hotel. I arrived to the hotel, and I would say it was about 1 a.m. at this point. I looked at my phone, and again I had received another message from this guy. He said,
"Pull around to the back of the hotel."
I drove into the parking lot and made my way to the back of the hotel, past the pool. This is when things started to get weird. As I pulled into the back of this hotel parking lot, I noticed a guy in a red hoodie in between some cars. Assuming it was the guy I'd been messaging, I pulled into one of the spots underneath a light post, about 20 feet in front of a dumpster that sat in the corner of the parking lot. By this point, the guy in the red hoodie had gone out of sight. I instinctually clicked on the button to lock my doors. I checked the app and had received another message from the guy that said,
"Pull back next to the dumpster."
I assumed that since I was underneath the light, he was worried that we'd be caught if a guest or hotel staff saw us. At this point, I started to get a bit sketched out, but I figured that maybe my anxiety was just getting the best of me. I put my car into reverse and pulled back next to the dumpster and put my car in park. At this point, I'm scanning the parking lot for this guy, and I don't see anyone. No sight of the guy in the red hoodie either. I feel my heart rate suddenly increase, and I begin getting cold sweats. Maybe I shouldn't have driven out here, I remember thinking to myself. Then I checked the app again, and I received another message from the guy.
"Turn your car off and get into the back seat."
Okay, it is at this point that my fight or flight response kicked in because, without thinking, I immediately turned on my car and hauled ass out of there. I sped out of that parking lot as fast as my poor 2004 car could go. I didn't even stop to check for incoming traffic when I pulled out of the parking lot and onto the main road. I drove about 2 miles up the road away from the hotel and pulled into a McDonald's parking lot. At this point, I'm trembling, but I'm thinking maybe I just overreacted. I checked the app again to see if the guy messaged me anything. I was expecting a what the fuck, but the messages from the guy were gone. I'm assuming he blocked me, which leads me to believe that whatever he had planned was not good at all. Was he trying to jump me, steal my car, or maybe something worse? Needless to say, I deleted the app after this incident. To everyone who uses any sort of dating app, be careful who you meet, where you meet, and just take precautions. Our parents told us never to talk to strangers, for a reason. I am a single Christian woman in my 20s, and since I don't have many friends in my local church, I decided to sign up to a website where I could make friends online. Some of the site members also used it for the purpose of dating, which was okay with me, as I was open to possibilities. Soon I met a guy there who seemed nice, and we had some interests in common. and after a few months of friendship, we began to Skype since we lived far away from each other and couldn't meet up in person. We began chatting, and he seemed okay, but every now and then he would pause, go quiet, and just stare into the webcam. When I told him it was creepy and asked why he was doing it, he replies that he enjoys sharing the silence. I wasn't sure if that was normal, and since around the same time I was busy dating someone else, I avoided the guy for several months. However, when I broke up with my ex, I was feeling lonely and decided I wouldn't mind chatting to a friend to take my mind off things. The guy happened to be the only person available. We ended up chatting every couple of days for about 2 weeks, and I even started getting used to the uncomfortable silence and staring, when things got weirder. During our conversations, I found out that the guy was in his 30s and still a virgin, and we both agreed that we believe in sex only after marriage. So it came to me as a surprise when one day he confessed that he has a fetish for girls in school uniforms. He asked if he could send me an erotic schoolgirl outfit with a very short miniskirt because he wanted to see me wearing it. I said no, since I don't like wearing revealing clothes. Another time, he showed up in his bed on the webcam, only wearing his underwear, and began to ask me more dirty questions. I just laughed and made a few jokes and then tried to change the subject. However, he was not very responsive to the conversation, instead preferring to stare at his screen into the webcam, grinning, while making repetitive motions with his hand under his bed cover. I didn't want to see it, so I made an excuse and left. I should have completely stopped chatting with him after that, but the next day and the next day he repeatedly texted me wanting to go on the webcam. Since I was bored and lonely, I asked him to promise me he wouldn't be naked and do dirty things, and he agreed. For a couple of days we managed to carry on chatting, but soon after he did it again, and this time it was much worse. First, he asked me to touch myself and sent him a recording of it. I refused, explaining to him that in case my computer ever gets hacked, I do not want such things to be seen anywhere on the internet.
Oh, but you don't have to make a video. I just want to listen to the noises you make,
he replied. Again, I refused, saying that it made me uncomfortable, but he would not take no for an answer. He took off his underwear and began touching himself as if he was stroking a pet, while grinning at me with that big, creepy smile. I told him I had to go and terminated the video call. That same evening, I sent a long message explaining why I don't think we would be compatible with each other, and said that I found him disrespectful and want to stop seeing him. He responded saying that I am stuck in the past, only thinking about my ex who used me, even though the guy had no idea what went on between me and my ex. At that, I got angry and told him not to speak to me about it again. So, pervy guy, let's not meet again. Just for some background info, I'm an 18-year-old male currently living in New York. I'm 6'4" and buff. I've always been the center of ridicule and teasing from a young age due to my size. Just for some context, I stopped growing in 9th grade, 4 years ago. I was already done with puberty and had a full-on beard and was adult-like. I took advantage of this, sometimes too much, which led me to losing my virginity in the 9th grade to a girl who was in college. This story takes place when I was in 10th grade. I was lonely after a breakup with my girlfriend of 7 months. I was looking for a one-night stand, so I turned to Tinder. I set up a fake profile, but with my real picture, and waited. There was this gorgeous girl whom I matched with. This girl was too good to be true, which gave me the first red flag, yet I went along with it anyway. We exchanged innocent messages and planned to meet at her place the next day around 9 p.m. I wasn't as excited as you would think because I had some doubts about this girl because I didn't know if she was real. So 9 p.m. rolls around and I get ready to go to her place. I mentally prepared myself if anything crazy was going to go down. Before I left, I texted my dad saying I was going to a friend's house and I was on my way. I asked my good friend Isaac, who was 6 years my senior, to drive me since he had a car. He warned me to be cautious. Long story short, he drives me up to her apartment and I ring the doorbell. I hear light footsteps behind the door and a high-pitched voice saying, "Be right there." That's when I texted my friend telling him everything is fine and he should leave. Boy, was I wrong. The door opens to the girl in the picture. I immediately felt excited, which didn't last for long. On my Tinder account, I wrote that I was 24, when really I was only 15. She, not knowing this, swiftly asked me if I wanted a drink. I said I didn't want anything, which visibly made her facial expression turn from happy to pissed off. I realized that maybe I was going to be drugged, and I was not about to take any chance, so I asked to go to the bathroom. She then, out of the blue, said sure happily. Again, her weird response confirmed my theory in my head. I go to the bathroom and quickly text my friend to come back and pick me up. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I see a figure dressed in all black standing in the shower, trying to hide behind the curtain. The figure saw me looking at him because not even 2 seconds after, he lunged at me. I was scared shitless even though I was massively taller than this man. He tried pushing me to the floor, yet to no avail. I overpowered him too vastly. I grabbed him by the shirt and looked him in the eye. He was around 5'10", sorta buff, mid-30s, bald, and looked to be of Russian descent. I pushed him on the floor and cursed him out. He tells me to fuck myself, which is when I punched him in the face. There I was, a 15-year-old in a bathroom with a knocked-out man. I panicked, but I kept my cool and took out my phone and took many photos of the man. By then, my friend texted me and told me he was outside of the building waiting for me. Then, the girl opened the door to the bathroom and started to scream. I pushed her with all my power and sprinted the hell out of that apartment. When I got to my friend's car, I frantically explained to him what happened. Only then did I realize that I could have been drugged, killed, or worse. I obviously took screenshots of her profile and the messages between us. Even though I had all the proof in the world to lock those assholes up, I didn't because I was scared of my parents and lying to them. Moral of the story, be very cautious when dating online.